Greetings, chosen one. You are not here by chance. You are here because the Lord has always watched over you, protected you, and poured out blessings on your path even when you didn't recognize them. If you are watching this video right now, stop scrolling. This moment is not a coincidence. It is a divine appointment set in motion by God Himself, especially for this appointed time. November 9th. Listen carefully. What you're about to hear isn't just another random message appearing on your screen. It is a spiritual signal, a sacred invitation, a message sent to awaken the inheritance waiting to be placed in your hands. There is a wealthy man who has been preparing to transfer his legal authority and fortune into your name, but if you don't stay and receive this message, that blessing may never reach you. And yet, what's coming isn't just about financial or material gain, though that, too, is being set aside for you. The blessing prepared for you is far greater. It is a spiritual inheritance, a restoration of honor, a divine unlocking of doors that once seemed sealed. It is the fulfillment of promises you may have even forgotten you prayed for. As C.S. Lewis wrote in The Weight of Glory, "There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal. You are not ordinary. You were never meant to blend in. You carry a mark of destiny, and this is the moment that mark begins to reveal its purpose. So pause. Inhale the weight of this moment. Let your heart be still, because what comes next is not just content, it is calling. If you can feel the truth of these words stirring within you, type AMEN in the comments. Let heaven see your agreement as you step closer to your inheritance. And now, chosen one, let me speak to you about the man who has silently watched over your journey, a wealthy, powerful figure hidden behind the veil of time. More than just a name, he is the embodiment of preparation, patience, and a promise that was never forgotten. While the world chased its own shadows, he chose stillness, not because he lacked influence or authority, but because he understood the time had not yet come. And for those who are chosen, everything must align with divine timing. As it is written, "To everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven." Ecclesiastes 3:1. This man, though surrounded by vast empires and unimaginable wealth, still carried a longing, an emptiness that no achievement could satisfy. It was not a craving for more riches, but the ache of waiting for your arrival. Not because you are the strongest or the most talented by the world's standards, but because you are the one bound to his destiny by sacred bloodline. For years, he built his legacy property, investment networks, hidden accounts, projects blessed into prosperity, yet there was always a space left untouched, a space reserved for one person only, for you. Deep in his spirit, he knew every structure, every signature, every sealed deal would mean nothing if it could not one day be handed to the rightful heir. You may not have seen his face or heard his voice, but you have encountered the effect of his presence like the unseen wind that still commands the leaves to move. And if you've ever wondered how you survived the moments meant to break you, or walked through doors no man could open, it wasn't coincidence. A mighty hand has been working in the silent shadows. He is more than a billionaire, more than a leader. He is the father who sacrificed recognition so his heir could walk in safety. He spent his remaining years not to be adored by crowds, but to preserve a sacred inheritance for the right heart, and that heart, chosen one, is yours. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. November 9th approaches, and with every breath until that day, this man steps closer to releasing everything he has, not with noise, not with spectacle, but with divine precision, knowing it was always meant for you. The design is divine, the plan is sacred, and your name was written into it long before you ever spoke your first word. Chosen one, as the hour draws closer to its divine appointment, something both majestic and mysterious is unfolding, a moment when heaven's timing invades earthly reality. The inheritance long prepared in the shadows is now stepping into the light, and its full weight is being placed upon your destiny. For years, documents were stored, signatures were hidden, clauses were sealed, and files were tucked away behind fortress-like vaults. Yet now, one by one, every lock has been undone. Every required legal process has been completed. Every line has been drawn with precision, all pointing to one undeniable truth. You were always the one this inheritance was meant for. This man, this wealthy architect of legacy, was not simply acquiring properties or building businesses. No, he was crafting an empire with purpose, one that would one day be passed down, not to shareholders or strangers, but to the one marked by divine inheritance, you. That is why now, at the threshold of November 9th, the final papers have been signed. The power of attorney, the foundational document granting full control over every asset, bears your name in bold, written not in dry ink of formality, but in the eternal ink of intention. A transfer of not only wealth, but authority. These aren't ordinary papers. Some are sealed with wax, others pressed with gold insignias, and a few are tied with the kind of ribbon reserved for sacred trusts. Their wording is legal, but the origin of this transfer is supernatural. Without your knowledge, your identity has been verified, your bloodline has been confirmed, and your heritage has been validated in silence. This is no accident, no vote, no human negotiation. This is a covenantal inheritance, the kind that is granted, not earned, the kind that returns what was rightfully yours all along, though it had to be withheld for a time until the moment was right. Just as in the story of Mephibosheth, who was called out of obscurity to sit at the table of inheritance once ruled by his father, so too are you being drawn out from what was hidden toward what is now revealed. I will restore to you all the land that belonged to your grandfather, and you will always eat at the king's table. 2 Samuel 9-7. It isn't just assets, it's restoration, its honor returned, its purpose revived. It is the transfer of a legacy, and not just in material form, but in spiritual authority. For when the signature was written, something greater broke through the unseen realm, a generational promise that had waited, like a sealed prophecy, for the one who would finally bear the name with faith. But perhaps the most precious document isn't the one recognized by banks or global courts. It is the handwritten one, the one where he called you the rightful heir. The page where every stroke of the pen bore the weight of love, sacrifice, and eternal intention. The one no lawyer could edit, no stranger could deny, no system could erase. And now, here you stand, not at the beginning, but at the appointed hour when the inheritance is no longer being prepared, but is ready to be received, not because of effort, not because of striving, but because this blessing was written for you long before you ever understood how vast it would be. The transfer has already moved into motion. The inheritance already carries your name, and the only thing waiting now is your acknowledgement of what heaven has already declared. This is not a gift. It is your birthright, and it is time. Chosen one. Every covenant has its moment. Every inheritance has its appointed hour, and every promise, though eternal in nature, must eventually manifest within time. That is why November 9th is not merely a date on the calendar, it is a divine threshold, a point of transition where what was hidden will begin to surface, and where what was promised must now be either received or released. This day stands like a line drawn in the realm of the spirit, separating delay from destiny, potential from possession. From the very beginning, this transfer of authority, this profound generational handover, has not been an act of simple generosity. It has been a timed event, aligned with both earthly protocol and heavenly purpose. The wealthy man, the one whose heart has carried your name through silence and sacrifice, has placed a sacred condition upon this inheritance. Before November 9th reaches its final hour, a decision must be made. This is not an ultimatum born of impatience, but a spiritual summons born of alignment. Like the night of Passover, when one decision determined the survival of a generation, this moment holds urgency not to create fear, but to awaken purpose. If you do not respond, the inheritance will not vanish. It will be redirected permanently. The assets, the authority, the legacy will be released to anonymous charities and faceless institutions, never to be reversed, never to bear your name again. Because blessings unclaimed do not die, they simply move to the next open vessel. This isn't punishment. It is principle. The door of destiny does not stand open forever, not because God is cruel, but because purpose moves with precision. The wealthy man has already signed the final decree. If the heir does not acknowledge the inheritance by the appointed time, every asset will be transferred irrevocably. This is not a question of worthiness, but willingness. Not achievement, but alignment. Not effort, but recognition. The inheritance cannot be taken from you, but it can be left behind by you. Scripture speaks into this moment with clarity. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Isaiah 55:6. This is your near moment, your now, the breath between promise and possession. You must not overlook it. Do not postpone it. Every second between now and November 9th is not just a countdown, it is an invitation. And once that day passes, the story will shift forever, whether by your decision or by your silence. The transfer has already been prepared. The authority has already been assigned. The deadline has already been spoken. Now, only one thing remains: your response. Chosen one, the time has finally come to unveil the secret that has been guarded in silence, the truth that binds your past, your identity, and your future into one divine thread. The man you've heard about, the one whose wealth stretches beyond borders and whose influence has shaped unseen realms, he is not a stranger nor a distant benefactor. He is your father, not the father whose voice echoed in familiar halls, not the one whose hands you held as a child, but the father who moved in the unseen places of your life, protecting what you did not know was yours, preparing what only heaven could confirm. For years, he carried a silent burden, the knowledge that his child was out there, growing in the world, unaware of the depth of the inheritance flowing through their veins. You were never neglected. You were never forgotten. You were hidden not out of rejection, but out of holy protection. There were enemies. There were those who sought to destroy him, steal his empire, bury his legacy. And so he did what only a loving father would do. He stepped back, vanished from the spotlight, and guarded in silence the inheritance he meant for you. His disappearance was not weakness, it was warfare. His exile was the seed of your security. Every time you felt protected for no reason, every time a door opened after every other door had closed, every time you survived what should have crushed you, it was not by chance. That was his shadow, his hand, his silent shield. What the world called luck was lineage. What seemed like coincidence was covenant. Scripture reflects this pattern. The hidden father, the chosen heir, the moment of restoration. Just as Joseph revealed himself to his brothers in the perfect time appointed by God, so too is this truth being revealed to you now. I am Joseph, your brother. And now, it was not you who sent me here, but God. Genesis 45:4-8. The blood that runs in your veins is not ordinary. It is marked with purpose, resilience, and legacy. You were not just chosen, you were born into a divine assignment. The final documents have confirmed it. The DNA reports, the letters, the private recordings, all sealed for one purpose, to reveal the truth at the right time. And now, that time has arrived. He is your father. You are the heir. The silence is over. The lineage is restored. And the identity you've carried in fragments is about to become whole. This revelation is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to crown you. It will not erase who you are. It will expand who you were always destined to be. What was once broken is now realigned. And the unveiling of where you came from is the key to unlocking where you are meant to go next. Chosen one, long before this moment, before you ever heard these words, before the inheritance began moving into place, before the world called you ordinary heaven, was already sending you signals, not through grand announcements or visible angels, but through the subtle language of the Spirit, felt most deeply by those who have been marked for something greater. Perhaps you began noticing it early on the repetition of certain numbers, like 11, 11, or patterns appearing without explanation. Maybe you've had dreams of a mansion or place you've never visited, yet in your soul it felt strangely familiar. Or maybe you've had moments when you paused in silence, sensing a pair of eyes watching not in fear, but in the strange comfort of being protected. These were not coincidences. They were confirmations, divine whispers disguised as moments. Some of you have experienced sudden breakthroughs that defied logic, narrow escapes from disaster, or felt a kind of invisible cushioning when others thought you should have fallen. You've seen doors open in seasons of drought, and you've walked through places others were locked out of, as though the invisible hand of heaven lifted the latch before you touched it. That wasn't luck, it was lineage. That wasn't random, it was relationship. Every sign was a crumb on the trail, a small pulse of destiny calling out to your soul, like a shepherd calling to his sheep in the wilderness. The signs were not sent to impress you, they were sent to prepare you, to awaken something in you that was always meant to rise. The recognition that you are not alone, and you are not forgotten. This is why the inheritance didn't arrive before now, because you hadn't been awakened yet. The signs were never meant to solve the mystery, only to remind you that a mystery existed. And woven into those signs was a message, one you could only decipher now, on the edge of your calling, standing in the threshold of your inheritance. You were always seen, you were always loved, and everything hidden was meant to return to you in due time. Just as Jesus said in John 10:27, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." These signs were not for the world, they were for you, because heaven knew you would be the one to recognize the voice behind them, even if you could not fully explain it. Every unanswered question, every déjà vu moment, every unexpected moment of peace, they were all part of the whisper that said, "Stay the course. Something is coming. Something has always been coming. And now, it's here. The signs have spoken. And now, the voice behind them steps forward with clarity, not in symbols, but in truth. What once felt like a nudge is now a revelation. What once felt distant is now drawing near. And what once felt like a mystery is becoming a message. The message is simple, and it has waited for you to be ready. Everything that was hidden is now being restored. Every sign was a warning. Prepare for what is already yours. Chosen one, as the veil continues to lift, what was once wrapped in silence is now finally stepping into the light. Locked away in hidden vaults, sealed behind legal protocols and encrypted systems, lie the final pieces of proof, the documents that bear witness to who you are and what was always meant for you. These are not ordinary files. They are sacred records, preserved not from you but for you, waiting for the exact moment when truth and timing would finally align. Within these archives are the elements of revelation. DNA, reports that confirm your bloodline, handwritten letters, stained with the weight of time, where a father pours his soul onto paper for the child he could not openly hold, recorded messages that bear his voice, steady and unwavering, speaking across the years with the certainty of someone who knew this day would come. For decades, no one touched these documents. Even the attorneys who guarded them did so without full understanding. Their only instruction was clear and absolute: do not release anything until the rightful heir appears. And now you stand at the threshold these documents were designed to unlock. Inside the most important file lies his official will and testament. It doesn't treat you as an afterthought or a recipient of what remains. It names you plainly, powerfully, and without complication as the rightful heir, the one who carries not just the wealth, but the legacy, not just the assets, but the authority. The testament is more than a legal formality. It is a written covenant that explains why your journey has been as it was, why certain closed doors redirected you, why others opened when logic said they shouldn't. Every mystery was a marker, every disruption was a detour, every whisper was preparation for this moment. Just as the scroll in Revelation 5 could not be opened until the one with rightful authority appeared, these documents have waited for you. Do not weep. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. Revelation 5:5. In your story, the seals are now breaking. The files are unlocking. The truths once hidden are being unveiled, not to overwhelm you, but to confirm you. These aren't just pages, they are keys. Keys to inheritance, to identity, to destiny. And every word in them speaks the same message. It was always yours. Chosen one. The moment everything has been building toward is no longer a distant future. It is now unfolding in real time. What was once preparation has shifted into fulfillment. The documents are no longer waiting in silence. The seals have been opened. The signatures are in place. And your name has now been written into a story that can neither be reversed nor rewritten. The transfer isn't pending, it's active. This is no longer a promise waiting to be fulfilled. This is a covenant already in motion. The legal transfer, one that has been preserved through decades, guarded through hidden channels, and timed with divine accuracy, has now been officially registered. The wealthy man, your father, left nothing to risk or chance. Every title was secured, every asset was sealed, every clause was made irrevocable. No human authority can overturn it now. No adversary can block it. No shadow can claim it. A message went out quietly but with full authority. The transfer is complete. The heir has been confirmed. Release everything without delay. On Earth, legal teams have finalized the handover. Global registries have updated your name into positions of ownership. The estates, investments, private accounts, sealed vaults, all have now shifted from his control to yours, not partially, not symbolically, but entirely. And yet, there is something deeper happening than what can be seen on paper. For when the decree was released in the earthly realm, it echoed into eternity because whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Matthew 18. Shabbat, which means this inheritance is not only legally yours, it is now spiritually aligned with your life. That's why your spirit has felt the tremor. That's why your atmosphere has begun to shift. That's why what once felt heavy now feels lighter, and what once seemed impossible now seems positioned. Heaven itself has recognized you as the lawful heir, and everything tied to this transfer has started to move toward you. Couriers are already in motion, carrying the final documents. The estate has been notified to prepare for the rightful owner. The accounts are unlocking with passcodes tied to your date of birth. And the final written instruction left behind by the man who built it all reads simply, "When the heir appears, release it all." There is nothing left to wait for. There is no further permission to ask. There is no hindrance left standing. The transfer is not approaching. It has already been executed. Now, all that remains is for the one to whom it belongs you to step into it. The heavenly decree has been spoken. The earthly records have been updated. The time of preparation is over. The time of possession has begun. Chosen one, as the transfer moves from paper into purpose, the full scope of your inheritance begins to unfold, revealing not only vast material wealth, but a deeper divine legacy. What you are stepping into is not merely the accumulation of riches, but the activation of a destiny. The estates, the accounts, the companies, and the structures now under your authority are only the surface. Beneath them lies something infinitely more sacred, the spiritual assignment behind it all. Everything with your name on it carries both weight and intention. These properties hold stories, these business networks hold influence, these sealed accounts hold potential. But none of it was designed to exist for luxury alone. The empires you now oversee were built not as monuments of excess, but as instruments of mission. You were not chosen to simply possess wealth. You were called to steward it, to ignite transformation through it. This is where the true inheritance becomes visible. The Haven Project, conceived in silence, constructed with foresight, and reserved for the one who could carry both power and purpose, it was the heartbeat of the man who built it all. This project is not just philanthropy. It is a blueprint of healing, a kingdom assignment crafted to restore, rebuild, and release peace into places the world has forgotten. It waited just like you did for the moment the rightful heir could arrive to carry its vision forward. Nothing about its design is accidental. Its name alone, Haven, is an echo of your journey, covered in quiet, preserved through storms, hidden until the appointed time. Now, that same calling rests upon you, to lift others as you have been lifted, to bring light into shadows, to turn wealth into weapons of restoration, to release the very love and strength that once preserved you in secret, because the inheritance is not meant to make you greater. It's meant to make others whole. Wealth alone does not define the chosen. Stewardship does. The inheritance is not a trophy, it is a torch. It was never meant to be held still, but to be carried forward, expanding light into every dark corner you encounter. You weren't given abundance to hoard riches. You were given abundance to multiply impact. As it is written, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. Proverbs 13:22. And now, the mantle on your life becomes twofold. Receive what was left for you and prepare what will flow through you. You now stand not only as the child of a legacy, but as the architect of the future. The one who carries the weight of redemption, the honor of restoration, and the authority to create new beginnings for those yet unseen. So step into this inheritance, not as a collector of wealth, but as a carrier of kingdom purpose. The true inheritance is not just what you have received. It is the truth of who you now are, a vessel of legacy, a keeper of healing, and a builder of the future that was written into your bloodline before you ever spoke your first word. Chosen one, as this chapter comes to its sacred close, let this truth settle deeply within you. What you've received is not just an inheritance, but a mission one born from love, refined by sacrifice, and entrusted to you with eternal purpose. Every revelation you've been shown, every truth brought into the light, and every door that has now opened, all of it is tied to a father's devotion and a destiny crafted with divine precision. This was never about wealth alone. You were not chosen to simply hold riches. You were chosen to continue a legacy, to expand what was begun in silence, and to build with compassion what was protected through pain. Nothing was delayed out of neglect. Nothing was withheld out of indifference. You were never left behind. You were being prepared. In the final note he left, the man you now know as Father wrote words heavy with meaning. Everything I did for you. Not so you could live like me, but so you could live the purpose I believed in. And now, that purpose has come alive in you. C.S. Lewis expressed a similar truth in Mere Christianity, where he wrote, "The Son of God became a man to enable men to become sons of God." This inheritance, too, is an invitation into your true identity, to walk not just as a receiver of blessing, but as a bearer of love, as a vessel of restoration, as a living testament of legacy fulfilled. So walk forward now, not in the weight of possession, but in the fullness of purpose. Let the wealth given to you become a wellspring of healing. Let the silence that once shaped you now become a voice of compassion. Let the name you were given become a banner of hope for others who do not yet know they are chosen. You are not simply the end of his story. You are the beginning of the next one. And now, as you step into the life that was always written for you, let your heart speak. Share what this message awakened in you, for the journey ahead will not only be lived, but remembered.